Tonight, a Greek organization walks for a cause.
Plus, hear how students plan to spend their spring break. Stay tuned. TrojanVision Nightly News starts now.
From the high-definition digital production center on the Troy campus, with news from Troy University locations around the world, this is TrojanVision Nightly News.
Hello and welcome to TrojanVision Nightly News for March 7th, 2014. I'm Haley Greathouse.
And I'm Courtney Addison. Thank you for joining us this evening. Earlier this week, we showed you how Alpha Tau Omega Fraternity is spending their spring break and using it to raise money for their philanthropy. And as Amanda Ford shows us, the 15 brothers started their journey with the going away party.
15 Troy University students are headed to Panama City Beach, but they are not taking the conventional way. The brothers of Alpha Tau Omega Fraternity are walking over 120 miles from Troy, Alabama to Panama City to raise money for an important cause.
We're going to be walking over 6 days. We're going to get there on Wednesday at about 4 o'clock to Pier Park. We're going to be walking around an average of 21 miles a day. The first day today we're walking 28 miles to Enterprise, and the total trip will be around 125 miles, and we'll stay most nights outside. A couple nights we'll stay inside at churches or host homes, but most nights we'll be camping outside.
This is the 5th year that the brothers of ATO have participated in Walk Hard, and all of the money raised will go towards the Wounded Warrior Project.
Our goal for raising is $15,000, and we're pretty close now.
Many supporters came out to see the fraternity members start their journey. Billy Williams, a Desert Storm veteran, says having each other to depend on will give them the motivation that they need.
Just being united with each other, trusting each other, standing by each other, would be the one thing I would say to keep them going.
The ATO members will arrive at Pier Park in Panama City on Wednesday. Amanda Ford, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The brothers are expected to arrive at Pier Park in Panama City Beach, Florida on Wednesday.
Spring break starts today and many students are getting ready to hit the road for a week of rest and relaxation. Katerina Kunitsina had the chance to talk with many Troy University students to see what they had planned for their break.
Troy University students passed their midterms, trees started to bloom, and that means it's time for spring break.
We have several programs coming up, and we'll have more than 7 programs going away over the spring break. So we're going to be working on those programs. Students are going to Costa Rica, Spain, England, and other countries.
For spring break, I have plans to go down with my girlfriend to Universal Orlando. We're going to go to Islands of Adventure, and we're staying in a place called Coco Key Resort, and we've been saving up for it for about a while now, and we're really excited.
For spring break, I will be going home to my house in Birmingham.
Our plan for spring break, we probably go to BCB.
I'm going home for spring break because I live in Gulf Shores. Hopefully it's really warm, because if this weather is the same, I'm going to cry.
The common plan to spend this spring break is to travel, but there are a lot of people who prefer to stay in the county, helping their families, studying or working.
I'm actually just going to my grandfather's for spring break.
I plan on helping my mom pack. She's supposed to be going to Enterprise.
I'm just going to probably stay around my house, visit my granddad, and help him outside in the yard and kind of just relax.
Stay safe and have a marvelous spring break. Reporting from Troy University, I'm Katerina Kunitsina, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Once again, spring break starts today and classes will resume on Monday, March 16th. Well, Troy University is home to a number of on-campus organizations that meet a variety of student needs.
That's exactly right, Haley. And over the next few weeks, we'll spotlight some of these student organizations. Today, Casey Harville takes a look at Troy University Student Government Association.
The Student Government Association is an on-campus organization here at Troy University. While most people may have heard of this organization, they may not know what exactly the SGA is.
It's the liaison between the students and the university officials, whether that be Dean Reeves or even the chancellor himself. What the Student Government Association does is either recognizes the needs of the students or asks the students' input on what concerns they want to see addressed. And what we'll do is take that information and then pass it along to administration so that student needs are recognized.
The SGA is also responsible for putting on different events for the Troy students periodically, such as pep rallies. But while they try to get students into that Trojan spirit, Their main priority is student safety.
The first major event we put on would be the night walks. That's where we go around campus and then we report to Dean Reeves of findings we may see, whether it be a sidewalk that isn't lighted well enough that may cause a concern, or maybe even a light is out. Then also we host pep rallies. We put on homecoming week. We do the homecoming queen election. So there's really a lot that SGA does as far as events.
While the SGA election seats may be filled, there are still ways for students to get involved.
The first thing I would tell students to do that want to get involved in SGA would obviously figure out which branch they want to get involved in. If it's the Senate, they need to find out when elections are going to be conducted and then submit an application for those elections. We have a fall election, which would be the large senators and the colleges senators. And then in the fall, we have the housing senator election. But there's also the opportunity to be appointed to traffic appeals and hear student concerns about tickets they may get.
The SGA meets every Tuesday night at 6:30 in the Trojan Center, room 119. Kathy Harville, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Keep watching throughout the month of March for more of our Organization Spotlight series.
And now taking a look at news from around the state. In Dothan, police say a 46-year-old man is charged with killing his ex-wife just days after their divorce became final. Willie Charles Toney is charged with capital murder in the death of 39-year-old Rebecca Jackson.
And in Mobile, the Coast Guard is searching the Gulf of Mexico for a crewman who fell off a fishing boat nearly 60 miles south of Mobile Bay. The Coast Guard spokesman says 35-year-old Benjamin Sorrells was leaning over the side of his fishing vessel when he slipped overboard last night.
And in Pell City, authorities say human remains found along a northeast Alabama lake are those of a man. An autopsy is planned to further identify the remains found along Logan Martin Lake on Wednesday.
And still to come on TrojanVision Nightly News, the Trojans men's basketball team took the Mavericks down to the wire last night. Danielle Percival will have a recap of the double overtime thriller in sports. Now Danielle Percival joins us with sports. So Danielle, last night's basketball game was a nail-biter, had everyone sitting on the edge of their seats. How did that game turn out?
Well, Courtney, it was certainly a thriller, but did not turn out how Trojan fans would have hoped. We'll get into a look at the game here in sports. The Trojan men's basketball team had a chance to punch their ticket to New Orleans last night. Texas State lost, which meant all Troy had to do was beat UT Arlington and they make the trip to the Big Easy. But as Amy Austin shows us, it turned out it wasn't that easy.
In trying to secure a spot in the conference tournament, Troy's men's basketball team took on UT Arlington on Thursday night. In double overtime, Troy lost 87-86.
That's a hard one to swallow right there, and particularly for those 6 seniors and who I know every coach will say this, but those guys deserve to be in New Orleans, and we had our chance to get there tonight, and we didn't finish it off.
UT Arlington outshot Troy 35-72, while Troy only shot 30-71. In three-pointers, the Trojans shot 8 of 29, just one behind the Mavericks.
Our guys fought back. They never gave up. I think everybody in the arena gave up on them, and I don't blame a fan if he or she did give up on them, but they refused to give up, and that's got to carry us over to Saturday night.
Antoine Myers took over for the Trojans in the second half after the Mavericks had gone on a 19-0 run. Following Hunter Williams' 25 points, Myers had 21 points in the game.
And man, for him to step up and put the team on his shoulders like he did in that stretch to come back was nothing short of amazing. But it didn't surprise us any. I mean, he's a tough son of a gun. He's got a high level of character.
Putting this tough loss behind them, the Trojans have to prepare for Saturday's game against Texas State, looking to secure a spot in the conference tournament.
What these guys have got to do, and I believe they'll do it, is that game's over, and we've got to move on quickly, because now what we talked about is basically our tournament starts Saturday. If we win, we get to advance on to New Orleans. If we lose, we're done.
Amy Alston, Troy, TrojanVision Sports.
The men have that one last shot to secure a spot in the conference tournament. Troy plays host to Texas State on Saturday for a winner-take-all season finale. The women will also be ending the regular season on Saturday with Senior Day festivities. The Trojans will be facing Texas State as well, with tip-off at 5:15. But fans will want to be sure and be in the arena early enough to catch the Senior Day presentations, which will be prior to the game. Joanna Harden, Brooke Bowie, and Dominique Ross are the 3 seniors that will be competing for the final time in Trojan Arena. The Trojans lost to Texas State in San Marcos in overtime in their matchup earlier this year. The Bobcats are just one spot ahead of Troy in the conference standings in 5th, and head coach Shanda Rigby knows her team has a tough challenge ahead.
Whereas tonight it was, to me, more of a guard-oriented night for us creating turnovers. The post have to battle on Saturday. They have to show up big, they have to play big defense, and they have to block out and not give their post players second chances.
Senior day for both basketball teams this Saturday, with women's games scheduled to tip at 5:15. And while the women's basketball team is preparing to head to the Big Easy, the baseball team has New Orleans coming to them. The Trojans will play host to the Privateers of New Orleans for a 3-game series. The Trojan offense has not been the strong point so far this year, but Garrett Pitts has been on a roll. Pitts has reached base safely in 13 straight games and has had a base hit in 7 straight. Head coach Bobby Pierce knows that his team has work to do this weekend before the conference schedule begins.
We've got one weekend left at home before the 30-game conference season starts, and obviously we're not ready for that at this particular point. So I think this is a big, not only weekend, but a week of practice, well, a couple of days of practice prior to that. I just hope we get a little better weather to get some good work in, because we certainly need it.
The Trojans are 1 win away from number 800 at Riddle Pace Field. The Trojans and Privateers will hit the diamond for Game 1 of the series tonight at 6 o'clock. Well, the Trojan softball team rebounded from a midweek loss at Georgia State with a win in their first game at the UCF Knights Spring Fling. The Trojans defeated Bowling Green this afternoon by a score of 3-0. The Trojans took the lead in the top of the first on an RBI single by Erica Davis and tacked on 2 more in the 6th for insurance. It was Jacia Felt on the hill for Troy, and she struck out the side in the 7th to secure the victory for Troy. Affelt is now 4-0 in her last 4 outings after a stellar weekend at the Eagle Classic a week ago, including a no-hitter on Saturday. The Trojans will be in action throughout the weekend in Orlando with 4 more games on the slate. And the Trojan track and field team hit the road today for their first competition of the outdoor season. The Trojans will be in action in Mobile at the Jaguar Opener at South Alabama. This will be the first competition of the spring for the men, while the women are coming off the Indoor Sunbelt Conference Championships, which were the last week in February. This is just a one-day meet, so competition will end this evening. So Haley, Courtney, of course, spring break right around the corner for Trojans. But, of course, the athletes don't really get a spring break. They've still got a lot of action, but a lot of action at home. So maybe before the students head out for spring break, stick around for the weekend, see some of the Trojan sports in action, and hopefully cheer the teams on to making the trip to New Orleans. Hopefully the men's basketball team can get things done.
Absolutely. Best of luck to the Trojans, and hopefully the weather will kind of straighten up like Coach Bobby Pierce said. They need to get some practice in. Hopefully Nick will have good news when he joins us with weather, and then get some practice.
That's right.
Thanks, Danielle.
Thanks, guys.